Hello, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing new lifelines for the boat out of Dyneema instead of stainless steel. And while it's my first time doing it, I did a lot of research and I found you have to be very careful on how you splice these lines because sharp angles on the Dyneema can allow it to lose more than 50% of its strength. So it could fail at half of the strength that it's designed for if you bunch the line up. So what we're doing here is we're putting a stainless steel thimble so that we make sure we don't have a sharp turn on this fitting, and then we're doing what's called a long bury, which goes way back here. It has to take the diameter of the line and multiply by 72. So if you have a 1/4 inch line, it goes way back into the line, and then you taper it as you go so that it grabs kind of like a Chinese finger trap. So as the line tightens up, it holds that inner line. So we'll be using these stainless steel thimbles to distribute the weight, because right here is where they'll break here, or they'll break in here at these contact points. So we're doing what's called a long bury, where you pass this line inside of the Dyneema and you go way back here, at least you take the diameter of the line times 72 and go that distance. We went a little bit further today, and we'll be using, with the long bury splice, you can't do what's normally called a Brummel splice, because I'm already going through this, and with a Brummel you need to flip this loop over, which you can't do once it's through here. But if you do a long bury splice, then you have to take and feed line in crisscross. You can either feed it in on the opposite sides like I did, or you can do it one side here and one side here. And then I finish up with a whipping just to keep this thimble on nice and snug there. It still allow the material to straighten out and tighten. So let's see how this goes today. Okay, so I've marked the length that I need somewhere on here, from here back to this point, and then I marked the other side of here. So what we're going to do is, this line, when you push it open like that, it allows you to pass what's called a fid, which is this. It's a little hollow tube, allows us to hook the end of the line, and we're going to go all the way down to our marked end. And once we get to the marked end, whoops, we don't want to do that. We want to keep it inside the line, so go nice and gentle. See, when it bunches up, it moves, but once you tighten it, it won't move at all. So that's kind of the principle that we're operating on. So we're going to work this up. Work this onto this line. I think once we get past this blue tape, it should pass through much better. And we'll continue to scrunch this. Like that. It's coming along slowly. This one's a little more difficult. Got to avoid this. So I've got to pull this back just a little. Oops, made a mistake. Okay, so now I'll pass this all the way through and redo it. Okay, the blue tape around the fid did not work. So we're going to just put some tape here and tuck that into that fid. This tape's just to make it a little bit smaller diameter. Just like that. And then we'll tuck it into this fid. I'll take this pusher, and I'm going to push this down in here a little bit, just Make sure we're nice and snug. Alright, so let's try this again. So we'll go back up through this thimble here, and we'll find our black mark, which is, here's our first one, here's our second. So we'll come up to here. That black mark will go right there. And we're going to go in through this, so we'll bunch this up. Whoops. Yeah, that's right. And then we'll bunch these and see how it goes right in there. Just have to make sure this tip doesn't stick out. Gotta come back with this a little bit. Just kind of work this along. Nice and steady.
How's it going, boss man?
Good. How you doing, Eddie?
All right.
That's our dock master.
Tampoco el número no me funciona, es un número en Chile. Sí, el tipo es americano.
My Spanish has improved since I've been down here. I went from zero knowledge till I can order my groceries, order lunch and dinner, and say hello and how are you, and basic conversation. Makes it much easier to speak the language of the country you're in. Most people down here speak some English. I think it's polite to learn their language. And it's practical. Come on now.
Hell of a storm yesterday, huh?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a, kind of like a monsoon or hurricane rain.
Yeah, you get a lot of free wash down there.
Yeah, that's true. They gonna be able to get that trimaran out of there? Look, hey Eddie, if they hit my boat, just tell them to hit it real hard. That's all I ask. Don't hit it lightly, just hit it real hard.
I'll make sure I'll let them know.
You tell them they can get right on that, right? I'd probably cry after all the hours I put in this old boat. Normally it does not take this long. The other ones did not. Weren't even close. I think that's because the line got wet. Okay, so now we're going to take this, bunch it up. And we're going to take and taper this. We'll cut every 2 strands. We'll come back like maybe every inch or so that it starts out at 1/4 with 12 strands and goes down to 2 strands at the end. And that way gives us a nice smooth taper. So when there's pressure on it, it has an even surface to take up the tension. So I'll take this tape off now and we'll count up from the bottom, going every 4th set, and we're going to cut every 2 off of this. I'm just going to mark it, make it easier. You don't have to, you can eyeball it, but I'm going to mark it. It just makes it a little bit easier for me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like that. Just like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So that should be it. So now, pull out. Let's get this tape off. There's one strand. There's two. And we'll wind up cutting that off, and then we'll come back to the next mark. There's one. There's two. And we'll just split this difference and cut. You need a really sharp knife with this stuff. It's or scissors, really sharp scissors. So you'll, after you're done, you probably want to sharpen your knife. There's two. Here's the next set. And the idea is just to taper this thing so that it gives us a nice smooth transition in the line. And this is a sharp knife. It just doesn't look sharp, but it's sharp. But you want to have your knife as sharp as possible before you go in here. So now this just all tapers down very nicely. I missed one here. Figure out, I missed two of these. I missed this cut here, so we'll cut this. All right. So now we have a nice smooth taper. So now we'll take up here at the beginning, and they call it milking. Kind of like milking a cow. You start up at the top and work it back gently with some pressure on the line. And pull it back. Fiddle with it a few times to make sure everything sits down. And then you will see here that this last tail is just going to disappear into the line. Like that. The front section is complete. So we'll be doing the back now. The back's a little different. We'll put loops, we'll put thimbles in just like we did here with these thimbles. They're going to have additional line that loops at the back to tighten up so that we can adjust these really nice and tight. And those adjustments in the back will remain adjustable, and then the lifelines are ready to go. So I'm real happy with that. We're going to loop this piece up here. We're going to whip this, so I'll do this next so you can watch that. And I put a good amount of tension on it. I know some people will put these in the winch and tighten it up. I just make sure I tug on this really well to get it nice and snug. And then we've got this line here, which is, you want to be something close to the width of the individual fiber strands. And this is pretty darn close. It could maybe be a little bit bigger, but this is what I have. But you don't want to go much smaller than the diameter of one of these thread sections. Big thing is you want to make sure when you pass this needle through that you aren't catching the threads. You want to go in between these weaves if possible, because you want that fiber to be able to stretch a little bit, and you don't want the line to really inhibit it much. All right, so now we have this loop here with the thimble in it, and then we have these loops that run through back and forth through both of the lines, and then I've whipped it here just to make sure the thimble stays in place. And now we'll go back and do the we'll do the thimble in the back, and there's a gap between the thimble and the aft rail which will run multiple lines around, which we can tighten up so that we can adjust these lines really tight, so it'll be as tight as a cable line. And we'll whip it, and then we'll do the next. Well, we had a little more rain. Not unusual. But while I was sitting here dangling my legs off the side of the boat, which is only about 3 feet off the water, so my feet were pretty close to the water, we had a visitor who was patrolling the fairways, which is the area in between the piers. Yeah, it made me decide that maybe I don't want to hang my feet off the side of the boat unless you want to call me stubby or peg leg. Take a look. So that was about a 10-foot croc, maybe larger, and he was right back there, not 40 yards away from me, and I'm dangling my legs over the side of the boat. So I have to remember where I am. I have to be careful about not going swimming or not hanging my feet off the boat here. In the back, we're going to be doing something like this. I'm obviously going to tie here, but I have a little bit of an issue that's kind of worn through, and I don't have a new fitting for that. So we will tie from here as well as the pole itself, because I don't fully trust this, but I want the line up a little bit higher. So I've got to rig something up, and I need to get some stronger line than this. So I'm going to head up to the ship chandlery and buy some heavier duty line that I can use to make this connection. This will allow me to tighten this up and get this really tight. Well, that's it. We've got some new lifelines, and then we'll be going up the mast here to make a few changes. I don't know how good I'm going to be at photographing that or videotaping that, but if you like it, please give us a thumbs up and hit subscribe if you're not already. It really will help us to make more videos, and we'll see you at the next video. Thank you.